in front of that student section.
Fires for the first down, got it! Kinney in a foot race, 40, 30, 20, cuts for the end zone, and puts it away for the Sooners. Oh my, what a play! 86 yards when they had him backed up in third and long.
Gotta start off my show by saying that I was wrong. You know, sometimes when I'm wrong, I'm probably the fourth or fifth to admit it, but I want to start this post-game show of Oklahoma's Bedlam win, their 8th straight win over their rivals from Stillwater, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I want to say right off the bat that I was wrong. During my pregame show, if you're wondering what the heck is he talking about, why is he holding a sign saying I was wrong? Well, earlier in the week on my pregame show, I did pick Oklahoma State to win this game based upon their high-octane offense, based upon that they were having the best season in school history, based upon Oklahoma's struggles in hostile environments. It's been pretty dismal. But I'm going to make sure I do this enough tonight. Yeah, you got it. So, I've got so many subscribers out there. I had one that I really love his show a bunch, and he even said, you know what, if you're wrong, you're going to end up eating your words. Well, you know what? You're right. I admit I was wrong for picking against Oklahoma, but no question, you know my allegiance for Oklahoma is pretty deep. You've known that over the last couple of years watching my shows. You know that I'm very passionate about the Crimson and Cream, but you know that I try to be as fair as possible when it comes to critiquing a game. My heart, my soul always bleeds for Oklahoma, but when it comes to picking a winner, I go with my mind. And only twice have I ever picked against Oklahoma in the 25 games I have critiqued. And this was one of them. Oklahoma State still has a terrific football team. 10-2 is still a wonderful year, and they're going to go to a nice bowl game. But the Sooners, you know what? It's one of those things where until you do it, then you can't believe it. And Oklahoma finally did it. First time in a while that they won in a hostile environment on national TV, under the lights, and they came through with clutch plays in the fourth quarter, which we'll get into a little bit. If you didn't have a chance to watch the game, basically the game in the beginning didn't look like it was going to be this high-scoring fest that we thought we were going to be in for. Both offenses struggled a little bit. I thought that the play of the Oklahoma defense in the first half was very essential. Oklahoma State, for them to win this game, had to have Kendall Hunter, their everything running back, be able to spring loose, to be able to have holes, to be able to be utilized. Running game sets up the passing game. It's that simple in football. It's hard to have a terrific passing game. I don't care how good you are, how good of a play caller you are, if your ground game is bottled up. The OU defense, give them a ton of credit. Jeremy Beal, another monster game. I'm going to miss this guy. It's his last year for the Sooners from his defensive end spot, and at times he was actually lined up away from the defensive line and actually lined up in coverage, believe it or not. I thought he was terrific, and Kendall Hunter, probably the worst game he's had this year, but you can't take anything away from that front seven, which we'll talk about in a second when I highlight the 4 keys to the contest. In the beginning of the game, when the OU offense was dropping passes, it was the defense that was able to hang tough, and I thought they were terrific. Ronnell Lewis, a monster game for him, and Austin Box. It feels good to have him back. Of course, he played last week against Baylor, got nicked up a little bit, but while he was in there, he was a key contributor, just like he was on Saturday night in Stillwater. 24-17, the Sooners had the lead, but you knew that Oklahoma State was going to make adjustments, and you knew that they would have the ball to start the second half. They went 80 yards down the field, lightning quick, game tied at 24 apiece. And you thought at that point, uh-oh, the Cowboys got the momentum back. But the OU defense in that third quarter even though Brandon Weeden was completing passes, they weren't getting those big chunks of plays, and the defense kept it at 24 apiece. And then in the fourth quarter, one of the two guys I'm going to be mentioning that I did not think was going to be a positive factor for Oklahoma and that was Jimmy Stevens, a maligned kicker, a guy against Missouri that couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. The kicking game for Oklahoma, which has been inconsistent, perfect 4 for 4 on Saturday night. And every single one of those points when the OU offense struggled in the red zone, Mr. Stevens was Mr. Automatic. 4 for 4, and again, those points were very big in this contest, as you saw with the 47-41 final. The offense, Landry Jones, no doubt about it. The 3 interceptions, you thought, well, we hope it doesn't come down to Jones in the second half. But you know what? In the fourth quarter, when OU needed big plays, and of course the biggest play with the Sooners clinging to a slim lead, 3rd and 12, ball at their own, I believe, 14-yard line, and the crowd at a fever pitch at Boone Pickens. The Sooners need a first down. If they don't get it, 3 minutes to go. You know, Oklahoma State needing just a field goal to win. They have a heck of a leg from kicker Dan Bailey, who's nearly invincible at home kicking. And then Landry Jones finding another unlikely hero in Cameron Kinney. That's right, the same Cameron Kinney who was in Bob Stoops' doghouse last year and part of this year because he couldn't hold on to the ball. But he had the game of his life in Stillwater and basically showing me that I was wrong. Cameron Kinney with the 86-yard touchdown reception. And even though Oklahoma State would come back with a kickoff return for a touchdown, the Sooners then came back with another score. But the play of Cameron Kinney, when Kenny Stills, who's had a terrific year as a true freshman for Oklahoma, was dropping passes, Kinney in the first half made his presence felt. And then in the fourth quarter, that clutch catch when Oklahoma State, I don't know why they allowed him to be that wide open in that pivotal of a situation, only rushing 3 players. A big meltdown by the Cowboy defense, but OU's offense took advantage of the situation. And then later on, the gutsy call with about 2 minutes to go on a 2nd and 7 play in Oklahoma territory. You might think Oklahoma's just going to try to run and get the first down that way. Play action by Jones, hitting a wide open James Hanna, and then the touchdown that would basically put the game out of reach. 47-41. The Sooners finally did it, played a big-time fourth quarter, and overcame a hostile environment and a very game Oklahoma State team. And this game was one for the ages as far as the Bedlam rivalry goes. Fans definitely got their money's worth in Stillwater. Let's go ahead and highlight the 4 keys to this game. And in a way, we've already done that. Number 1, talking about OU's front 7. I'm going to give them a B. I know OSU had some points. I know that they had some yardage. But remember, Oklahoma State in this game had just barely over 300 yards of total yardage, which is pretty good considering how high octane OSU's O is. The front 7, we mentioned about them earlier, the different looks that they showed, and 3 interceptions by Weeden. Quentin Carter had a pick, and then the athletic play in the fourth quarter, Ronell Lewis coming up with a deflection, which Austin Box picked off a pass that led to another field goal for OU. Number 2, the dynamic duo running of DeMarco Murray and Roy Finch. We're going to go incomplete because of the injury that DeMarco Murray suffered in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth, a knee injury. Even more of a testament, by the way, to the Sooners to win this game despite not having one of your better players. He was on the bench, and the knee just didn't feel right, couldn't come back in. OU was able to hold on despite not having Murray's presence on the field. We got to go incomplete, though, because of the injury. Number 3, in the 4 keys of this game, make it a special Bedlam. I'm going to go C+ in this situation. The field goals were big time for Oklahoma, but of course the kickoff return for a touchdown, completely inexcusable. I don't know how many times Oklahoma has given up kickoff returns for a touchdown over the last 3 seasons, too numerous to count, and it could have really come back to bite Oklahoma in the you-know-what. The return game tonight for the Sooners was not that special, but at least the punting by Tressway was consistent, backed up the Cowboys inside their own 20 several times. But the kickoff return for a touchdown, just simply put, I can't give Oklahoma A or B. I'm going to go C+. That's about the highest score I can get. But at least Jimmy Stevens did his job tonight by making every field goal he attempted. And then number 4, the fourth quarter, we're going to go A. Finally, we're going to go A for the Sooners. What they couldn't do at Missouri and what they couldn't do at A&M, winning in a hostile environment and melting down in the fourth quarter, they reversed that trend in Stillwater on Saturday evening. When OU needed the big plays the most, they got them, and it's now the 10th victory for the Sooners on the season. So speaking of OU, congratulations. They're going to play Nebraska next week for the Big 12 Championship. The BCS standings come out on Sunday. We haven't seen the standings yet, but there's no scenario that anybody can think of that would put Oklahoma below OSU or A&M in the final BCS standings. That means OU will represent the South in the Big 12 championship game, and it's only fitting it would come down to the Sooners and the Huskers for the Big 12 championship, seeing how this will be the last time they'll play for a long time. Nebraska going to the Big 10 next year. Maybe it was just meant to be this way. The Huskers and the Sooners one more time, and they'll play at Jerry Stadium. We will have the Big 12 matchups and then some show next week, me and the Coin. One more week of going head-to-head. It's going to be pretty intriguing to see who wins that yearly head-to-head battle in picking games against the spread. We'll have that on next week at some time, and we'll have our weekly matchup show, by the way, of OU Nebraska coming up next week. And other Big 12 news, by the way, if you didn't hear, Missouri routed Kansas earlier, so Missouri finishes at 10-2. They'll go to a good bowl game. You know they will. Very long year for Turner Gill in his first year at KU. Kansas State wins at North Texas, but it was a struggle. No report yet on Texas Tech and Houston. I know Tech was winning that game in the fourth, but as of recording time, didn't have enough resources to retrieve the final score. So we'll talk about that probably later on when we go over the Big 12 bowl assignments. And of course on Friday, Nebraska routes Colorado, and on Thanksgiving night it was Texas A&M beating Texas. Texas's first losing season in 13 years. So that does it. Final score. It was a great game in Stillwater, and yes, about picking Oklahoma State in this game. Oklahoma, give them credit, they win 47-41 in one heck of a contest. Boomer Sooner.